All right, well, thanks everybody for being here with us today. We just heard from Christina Griffin. I just want to open it up for questions or comments or thoughts, and we can go a little bit deeper into those. So I took my own page of notes here. So what do you guys think? I see Steve Kaplan out there.
It was pretty cool. I like that she referenced some websites. For instance, the Black Knight one I was not aware of.
Absolutely. That was Black Knight Inc. INC.com, right?
Correct.
Got it.
She didn't go into detail about, because I know she said eviction CDC, and it looked like she binged it. So I guess maybe it's just a Google search, something like that. But she really didn't clarify that.
Yeah, I have some resources from her that I'll share after this. I'll send it out through an office announcement, but there are links to other videos on her YouTube page and the courses that she spoke about. Even though the dates were a little off in the video, obviously this is all continued. The moratorium was only extended. The outcome and the results of these things are all, still the same. But there was definitely more resources, and I'll get that out to the group.
Okay.
Something I was thinking about in terms of resources, resources from the office, resources in the local area communities. What should we be doing there? Is this something that maybe the Market Center can help support research, or is this an individual thing? Individuals are just going to have to do it as part of their business. What do you think? Let me ask you this way. Do you think this is going to be for everybody? Do you think every agent is going to take time to learn how to do this and execute?
Hold on. I'm going to answer that question. I was away from my phone, so I had to get to unmute. In terms of what should we be looking to do as an agency from a community level, I think we need to start reaching out and establishing like a liaison type of relationship with like Homefront, because they do homeless and emergency services. Arm in Arm, they do emergency services. They used to be called Catholic Charities. And I'll look when I get back to work and see what other, maybe even at my job through social services, to see what they also offer in terms of options for the emergency services. I know they did have a program that they rolled out a few months ago to help people that were having housing issues and back rent issues as a result of COVID. So I'll check with the social services department to see where that is in the process and get that information to you, Frank, so that we can kind of have like a resource center for this particular population as those moratoriums are being lifted, both in forbearance and in evictions.
Okay, that'd be great, Sherry. Thanks a lot.
That sounds great, Sherry.
You just might have to remind me.
Okay, no
But
problem.
I'll remember. I like, if I do it today, if I get on it today, I won't get distracted and forget.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Just some other takeaways. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit of a different market than it was back in 2005, 6, 7, and 8. Some of us were in business back then. Nick's on the call, and Nick had really pivoted and focused on this in his business back then. I thought it was interesting that Christina the only thing that was really different is the reason what's causing this to happen. So this time she said it's medical. So a little bit different, but the effects are still the same. Nick, do you want to share your experience? I mean, this was it's a very different kind of transaction, right?
So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people have some experience on this, but yeah, it's not just a different transaction in terms of like paperwork and that kind of stuff. But in terms of us being like real estate consultants, this is a very emotional situation for sellers when it comes to being in this type of situation. Again, it could be, especially now, where it may be because they lost a job they never thought they were going to lose, or it was a pay cut that they never thought was going to occur. They could have kids in the school district, like they could be getting notices, or they will be getting notices saying that it's going to go to sheriff's sale or foreclosure or that kind of deal. And that can be very emotional. So sometimes that emotions, even if they decide that they want to work with us as a short sale specialist, or because our knowledge can help them sell the property quicker, as agents, we just need to keep in mind that sometimes those emotions could lash out to us as the agent, because these people just need an outlet. So if you are going to be the type of agent that's going to work on these type of properties, you do sometimes have to have a little bit of a tougher skin in some situations. Also to this type of transaction, to make sure that stuff is, at least I have found, to make sure stuff always stays in control, is a lot of phone calls with email follow-ups to make sure that everything is like in writing, because sometimes the bank will say one thing to the client, you're going to say something else, an attorney might say something else. Another thing to keep in mind too, guys, because she had mentioned in the video, in New Jersey as well, HOAs can foreclose on properties. I don't know if everybody knew that. You can be making your mortgage payments, but if you're not paying your HOA dues to the association, it's actually in the bylaws of every association that the HOA itself, if you can't work a payment plan with the HOA can initiate a foreclosure procedure on you, where then they're basically getting you kicked out of the property, and then it goes to the bank. So that's another thing too. Sometimes these lists that go out there about foreclosures, there may be people within communities themselves that are paying their mortgages but not paying their HOA dues that could be starting into this process. And we won't know it based off of the bank foreclosure list. So that's something as well, depending on like where you guys are niching. You may have communities like the Society Hills, different types of townhome and condo communities where people might be having some issues. It's really not information that's supposed to be shared from the board to realtors in general. So it would be hard to like make friends with an association manager to get that information. But I guarantee you, especially in this current circumstance, if you were to start marketing to a neighborhood and say that you're a specialist, in short sales, or a specialist in this kind of stuff, that would be one way. Another way, in terms of what she was talking about, servant's heart, when short sales were first starting as well, way back, I was going to HOAs and places like that, and I was speaking at board meetings, just generally educating people as to the process and what can occur. And I was doing like seminars, like in the said same associations outside of board meetings, where I was having the community itself, the board, invite the community to come for an educational experience, where I was talking about this process and talking about this situation. And I would just leave my business card and stuff like that if people had additional questions. And then people would reach out to me on their own, so they wouldn't be embarrassed that they had to stand up and raise their hand and say, I have this problem. So again, kind of coming from like a servant's heart and all that stuff, that's also something to consider if this was something you guys were thinking you wanted, a niche you wanted to start to get ahead of in the market we are now in and what's going to occur that we knew was coming. Making yourself like the local community expert when it comes to real estate, talking about this process would put you in front of people. And honestly, it's free marketing. Even if you don't get food or something like that, to speak at a board meeting or something like that, to take a little time out of your day, puts you in front of people. But that's what I did. I educated people, and then they ended up calling me for me to help them. And then I kind of worked my way through the process, because you can take a lot of classes on this stuff, but kind of every bank's a little different. So you got to kind of roll with it as you go. And again, the difference between a bank and like a private owner of a note, they may do stuff differently than like a Bank of America or Wells Fargo. So it's kind of like transactions in general. We'll know the basics going in, but then you got to kind of roll with each individual circumstance. That's it.
I just want
Yes.
to interject. Like in one case, when I had the short sale, the homeowner didn't know they had the HOA problem too. They were not paying the HOA dues, and the HOA were kind of after them. So they had this letter from this thing, but then I helped them with the loan modification. And the loan modification from the bank, it was, they had the loan was modified as well as the HOA dues were also negotiated eventually. And then they could get away for a couple of months, but after that, they eventually had to sell the house.
Yeah, so HOAs, even though in the bylaws it's like a foreclosure, an HOA can do a foreclosure, there are safety measures. So like within HOAs themselves, they're supposed to go to somebody a certain amount of times, just like a regular bank, in terms of trying to get somebody to work a deal before stuff is initiated. So there is a process. So again, if you get yourselves out in front of people and show that you can help them, there is time to help people if they come to you in the beginning of the process. If they've waited like the 6 months to a year and they've been getting all these notices and stuff like that, and have done nothing, then sometimes that becomes a little bit of a moot point. So again, as you get into these situations more, ask the qualifying questions to see where they're at in the process, so you know how much time you have to actually help them if possible. Because again, keep in mind, when you speak with a seller, say in terms of a short sale, if the bank comes in and actually forecloses on them, even though you have a listing with the seller, your listing now becomes null and void. It doesn't go to the bank. So if they're in the process where they've been told that they have like 30 days to vacate, where the bank is coming in and changing the locks, and you have it listed on day 31, you may get a call, or day 35, you may get a call saying your key no longer works out of the lockbox, and why? And the bank took it over. Like kind of like an estate sale and stuff like that. Our paperwork doesn't automatically transfer to the new owner. You would have to then contact the bank, and most banks have their own agents. Like she was saying, you can become a bank representative agent, and then the bank would switch the listing to one of their agents in the area, and our listing agreement becomes null and void. Same thing happens with a contract. So keep that in mind as well. If a bank decides to foreclose, if they didn't approve the contract you have on the table, it doesn't automatically go to the new person. The bank could come in and supersede and say that they are now the new owner. That seller's contract is null and void. So qualifying questions are important in terms of time frame, to make sure you're not wasting your time as an agent for these types of transactions. That's it.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else with any thoughts or questions? Is this a topic that you'd like to see more in future masterminds or events?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, none of us have a crystal ball, but obviously there's a sense or feeling that this is an important subject. So I shared in the chat box the links to the Shift series on Connect, the MAPS coaching, working with foreclosure short sales link, and a few other webinars. These are all from Christina. And, I've seen her before, and it's just incredible to me to think that she started in this business when she was 23 years old, and to see what she's done and all the people she's helped, it's really inspiring. So hopefully you enjoyed hearing from her today. We'll see what we can do to get her here live. But before then, check out Shift Series, come to Nick's classes, and we'll get this video uploaded and posted on the YouTube channel. So is there any other thoughts, questions, comments for today? Rena, yes, we can hear you. Maybe. You want to type your question in the chat box? All right, maybe we can't hear. Okay, Rena, I'm going to follow up with you offline. I'll call you right after this. Everybody else, thanks for being here today. Have a great rest of your day, and have a great upcoming week.
Don't end it yet. I'm copying the links from the chat.
All right, thanks, Sharon.
Give me 1 second. I got to just get the last one.